Greetings, moonbeams and angel dreams. In today's episode, we talk to Megan Sherer, a somatic therapist, hypnotherapist, and nervous system practitioner. We discussed how our bodies process and hold on to emotions, and Frank's new obsession with fascia, aka Frank's fascination.
Oh, that's good.
I'm Lauren Leon.
And I'm Frank.
We are a married couple learning how to develop our own intuition, and this is episode 95 of Clairvoyaging. Wayfeather Media presents Clairvoyaging.
How's it going, guys?
Hi. Hello out there in the audio world.
Damn.
I know. It's so good.
Give her a broadcast show live. Give her a mic, put her on the air. They will come. They will come.
She has the good words. Guys, we got a good one for you today.
Yes, we do.
Before we do that, just a little reminder, because we said we're going to do this more. 5-star reviews are so welcomed, and they help our little show grow. So
give it the Cinco.
Thank you for doing that.
Give it the Cinco. And you know what?
Give it 5.
Throw in a little comment, too. People see a comment, they're like, oh, dang.
Oh, they really like the show.
That's from a real person.
Oh, hey.
That's nice.
That's our 3-year-old, I guess, responding too.
Yeah, who listens to our podcast.
They really like it.
The Clairvoyaging is really awesome.
It's like really good. Thanks for that. Also, guys, hop on over to Patreon. You want to be a member? Guess what? It's only $4 a month.
What?
It's only $4 a month.
That's so cheap.
If you didn't hear me, it's $4 per month.
Wait, what?
4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
That's still so cheap.
It's really good. So those are our pitches. Our little calls to action.
What up, pitches?
Pitches get stitches. And now let's just get straight to chatting with Megan.
All right, Lauren, send it off.
And up to the moon we go. Well, Megan, we're so happy to have you on Clairvoyaging today. Thank you for joining us. We love a little backstory. We love it. We love a good, who are you? So can you tell us, who are you and what brought you into the work that you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much for having me here. I will try my very best to sum up who I am and what I do into something sort of concise. So what I do is that I'm a somatic therapist, and I primarily support people in healing attachment wounds and ultimately having a better relationship with themselves and their feelings so that we can have better relationships with other people. And how I got here is like a lot of people in any sort of healing profession. It really started with my own struggles and my own learning and growth and exploration and healing. I definitely didn't start out on the path of I want to be a therapist or I want to be in a helping profession. I was in the health and wellness space when I first started my career, when I was in my early 20s. And I just happened to go through a series of sort of back-to-back traumas, all one after the other. When I was 21, I was in a traumatic car accident that really shook up my life significantly, and was also in a very unhealthy relationship at the time and very unhealthy kind of community situation at the time, that all was sort of just this convergence for me to finally take a look at deeper underlying patterns of how I had been really externalizing my self-worth. I was one of those kids and people who grew up overachieving and performing and very much a perfectionist. And if I just do all the right things and check all the right boxes, then I will be enough and I will be lovable and I will be worthy and I will feel okay. But I did all the things and I never quite felt okay. I never quite felt good enough or worthy or lovable. And so kind of thanks to all of these really intense experiences that I went through at 21, it forced me to dive really deep very quickly into any healing modality I could find and get my hands on. And I really kind of went hard in self-exploration and healing and personal growth, and found a lot of incredible practices and practitioners as a result of that. And then ultimately realized this was work that I wanted to do as well, and went back to study, and, the rest is history.
Wow. Okay. Can you give, because I feel like somatic is like a word.
That's the first thing I want.
Yep.
We use somatic in so many ways. And
and incorrectly too.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah, say more about that.
Please.
I feel like a lot of people, at least I think because we're in this space now, like I'm just seeing the word somatic like constantly. And can you give your definition and also how it's used improperly?
Absolutely. Thank you for starting here.
There.
Oh my gosh. Yes. So we'll start with just the word itself. The root word soma just means body. So somatic modalities, somatic practices are really anything that leads with our bodily experience. And we can just kind of take that in contrast to the therapeutic modality that most people are most familiar with, like psychotherapy, traditional talk therapy, which prioritizes cognition and the mind and the intellect, how we think about things. So when we're instead taking a somatic approach to healing, we're interested in how the body is processing, feeling, understanding, and experience. And kind of like you alluded to, I think that word is getting thrown out there a lot right now. It's super trendy buzzword. Somatic work is nothing new. In fact, it's like very, very ancient, like thousands of years old, indigenous cultures. Like we've been practicing somatic work for a very, very, very long time. When I say we, I mean human beings, without necessarily labeling it that. And somatic practice is really intrinsically rooted in Eastern healing practices, like traditional Chinese medicine, like Ayurveda, shamanic practices. Like most non-Western healing practices center the body and really actually revere the wisdom of the body and the fact that our body knows a lot more than we give it credit for. Yeah. And in Western healing practices and modalities, it's a lot of pedestalizing the mind and mindset, willpower, like think your way through it type thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So somatic work just recenters the body. And the reason I was saying like it's kind of misused a lot of the times is because it's a buzzword, because like nervous system regulation is super trendy right now. I think people are sort of quick to slap the word somatic onto whatever they're already doing as sort of a marketing ploy. And like I will see on social media all the time, like somatic weight loss techniques, like things that I'm just like, oh no, that's not the point. That's not the intention of what we're doing here. Or even taking what could be a somatic tool like breathwork and assuming that it's trauma informed just because we call it somatic, which is not necessarily the case. There's a lot of breathwork out there that is not necessarily a trauma informed somatic therapeutic practice, even though it's a body-based tool. So there's just like some gray areas. And ultimately, I'm a big fan of whatever gets people back in relationship with their bodies and listening to their bodies and sensations and emotions again. But the lines can get a little blurry sometimes.
Can you please also define the concept of being trauma-informed? Because I'm seeing that thrown around a lot in incorrect ways.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is really important to lead with because we're getting a lot of great information and education on social media these days to learn more about ourselves, but there's also the potential for misinformation and miseducation and sometimes harm. So trauma exists on a spectrum. Like we may or may not know, like there's big T trauma, little t trauma, meaning like big overt experiences that anybody would consider harmful, traumatizing, severe. And like you could point to that and be like, yeah, that would mess anybody up kind of thing. And then little t trauma that's more subtle and nuanced and exists on more of how our individual psyche perceived an experience and whether or not we felt isolated in it and how our nervous system responded to it. So being trauma informed essentially means that you have been trained or learned as a practitioner of any kind. This could be a therapist, a yoga teacher, breathwork facilitator, a coach, that you have the understanding that like trauma is probably in the room with us, especially if we're working with the body, especially if we're talking about emotions, if we're moving through potentially emotionally charged experiences. We're acknowledging that like everybody's got varied lived experience, and trauma is probably on board, especially if you're teaching like a class, a workshop with many people who all have different backgrounds. Somebody there might have a sensitive history, a trauma history. And so if we're trauma informed, we're mindful of that. And we're mindful of the way that we offer tools and techniques and that we teach in a way that's not going to re-traumatize somebody, that's going to offer possibly modifications for people who might have a trauma history. So just a simple example. If somebody does have a trauma history and has experienced like physical abuse, let's say, or sexual abuse, or a really challenging relationship with their body where it actually doesn't feel good, doesn't feel safe to be in the body. It feels safer to numb and like check out and dissociate. Telling a person like that to just like get into your womb space and like feel all the sensation there, like get into your heart, like feel everything that your body's feeling. That's going to be way too much too soon for that person if they haven't already processed their trauma history in the way that they need to in a safe therapeutic setting.
Also kind of a funny language barrier as well.
Yes.
There's like terminology that feels very gatekeeping, you know?
Totally. They're going to be like, oh, that doesn't apply to me. I'm not like at that level. I can't do that. Like it's already sort of ostracizing.
And also no matter how much I look, I still can't find my womb. So I don't know.
Like, how do I get there? Where is it? What does it mean? What?
Can someone buy me a copy of Grey's Anatomy, please? Because I'm having a hard time.
Exactly. And even if we're like not using the sometimes woo-woo ostracizing healing language that can turn people off a bit, even if we're just leading a breathwork session, acknowledging that certain types of breathwork that are very activating put the body into a sympathetic fight or flight state, which can remind us of a time in our past where we felt very overwhelmed in a traumatic experience, and it can be re-traumatizing. And if that teacher, that practitioner isn't aware of that, it can cause harm to the people that they're trying to help, that they're trying to facilitate.
Right. I have heard that. I have heard that like a breath work is not like an introductory like a method into like addressing your traumas. Yeah. That could be it's kind of an advanced level stuff because it can really dig in there quickly. It's kind of violent.
I've never done breath work before, but like I could imagine, I know that there's one where you're like breathing in and out, like kind of rapidly. And I would imagine that could trigger some like memory or something. And your body would freak out a little bit.
Exactly. Like there's breathwork is sort of an umbrella term because there's many different styles of breathwork, but the one that you're referring to is sort of mimics hyperventilation, where if you've had panic attacks in the past, like that's not going to feel safe for you to just go into in like a class setting.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the trauma informed is like having the awareness, teaching in a safe way, but then trauma trained means that you actually have been trained, have the scope, the ability, the licensure, the certification to actually help somebody through trauma, to process that trauma. So that's an important distinction too. Like a breathwork teacher should be trauma informed. They should know that when they're teaching, that shit's going to come up. Sorry if I can't swear here.
No, please do.
And then to be able to then refer that person to a trauma trained professional who can help them actively work through what they're working through. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
So we have trauma informed and then trauma trained.
Yeah.
And these are two very different skill sets. One is knowing and one is knowing what to do after the trauma has been induced, or is that?
Yeah.
Fair.
So one is like acknowledging that it's in the room with us and we're being sensitive to that, mindful of that. We know when to refer out. Like we know our limitations with like, if I just teach breathwork, that's my limitation. I'm not a therapist qualified to then lead this person through healing and resolving their trauma. Trauma trained is like, I'm the person who has the modalities and the tools to help them resolve their trauma.
Got it. That's a very important distinction to make. I never see that. I never see that definition floating around.
I need to spread the word more.
Like it's a lot of, I feel like it's a lot of trauma informed. Like when you see, people who are, like you said, yoga teachers, breath work, like coaches, any kind of practitioner.
And that one even.
Like you want to be trauma informed. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's another like sort of buzzword that can just like people can call themselves trauma informed because maybe they've worked through their own trauma. And so they're like, I know about trauma. Like I know that exists,
right. Yeah.
But not like how to actually hold safe space for other people.
Yeah.
Right. Oh man, that's so important. In your experience, what is the problem with Western style, like cognition based therapies and like talking therapy?
Yeah, I think that as a collective, we're very tempted by the idea of like a one size fits all solution. Like we just want to like know what the one silver bullet magic pill is. Like tell me the thing that I need to do or the book that I need to read to fix all my problems and then I'll be better. And I think the problem with especially like intellectually focused approaches is that they're not bad. They're actually like the first step for a lot of people. Like awareness is the first step, right? We need to be aware of our problems. We need to be able to talk about what we've experienced in order to even get any deeper. So that's like the gatekeeper. And talk therapy is a super beneficial modality for a lot of people. And it has limitations because it keeps us at that level of cognitive processing, which isn't where change happens. Like awareness is not where the change happens. That's 5% of the equation, tip of the iceberg. The change occurs and like the real, where our habits, beliefs, daily choices come from is that 95% beneath the surface, which is our subconscious mind and our body, our nervous system experience. So I'm not ever going to say like therapy's bad, but maybe those people who have been in therapy for years and years and years, and they're talking about the same things and they feel like they're just venting every week, like cycling through the same problem, but nothing has changed in their life. That's the limitation.
Right.
Yeah. Where there's like, there's been some improvement in maybe a little bit of behavior, maybe a little bit of understanding, but like going deeper, like the people that are in therapy for like 10 years and you're like, well, we're still here. You're still talking about that same thing.
Well, I mean, to your point, like you're addressing only 50, well, probably less than that, but let's say 50% of the system that makes you operate, how you interface with the world, right? People know like, oh yeah, I got a problem. And then it's very easy to start identifying with that problem, saying, oh, this is like, I've identified that I have this issue. And then you're like,
we love
and
a
then
label.
They go, yeah, everyone loves the label. And then they have suddenly that spark of like recognition. I feel like you need to work with that motivation to then quickly get to the next part. Otherwise, you start living into the narrative of the I know this about myself. I hate when people wear purple. It just makes me so pissed off. Take that purple shirt off, man. I got a problem with your purple or whatever. It's something stupid.
Yeah, like this is my trigger, but it's your problem.
Exactly. Yeah. You just know enough to be dangerous.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. This is my trigger, so it's your problem. Like I know it exists, but now I'm
making you
just the fact that it exists. Yeah. Like I'm not actually going to change it. I'm just aware of it. And so are you.
We see this a lot. Like the example that I use the most because I work in this realm, and I think it's so relevant right now, is attachment styles. Like that has become so trendy over the last few years. Everybody has maybe like taken the quiz or read enough social media posts to be like, oh yeah, like I'm anxiously attached, or I dated a guy and he's avoidant. And like,
I don't know anything about this.
Yeah, I actually don't either. So,
this is a whole can of worms.
Okay.
Okay. how can I summarize this? Attachment theory is basically the understanding of how we interacted with our primary caregivers and our parents, like our parents and or primary caregivers in the early years of our life, taught our nervous system about how to attach, how to bond, what connection means, what we have to do in order to get love from the people around us. And that essentially maps onto our adult romantic relationships. And so there's 4 primary attachment styles. There's secure attachment, which is what we would all ideally want to be experiencing, where like we're secure within ourselves and we can be vulnerable with other people. We can form healthy connections, have intimacy, not be scared of it, not be afraid that not fall into patterns because we're afraid that we're going to get hurt. We can trust love, but we can also trust that if love goes away, we're going to be okay. That's secure attachment.
Okay.
Anxious attachment is where we feel like we're always grasping for it. Like we're really afraid of rejection and abandonment. And so we feel like we're not good enough and we need to like try harder, overgive, people please, perform to go get it. Avoidant attachment is the person who is also afraid of rejection and abandonment. Like at the end of the day, we're all afraid of like losing love or getting hurt. But their strategy, their coping mechanism is like put up a wall, push people away, shut down, numb out, rather than like when connection feels like it's being threatened or when somebody feels like they're getting too close, we feel scared, so we avoid. That's the person who like will ghost someone when they're dating or shut down in a fight, in a conflict with their partner. We avoid intimacy. The 4th category is disorganized attachment, which you sort of oscillate between anxiousness and avoidance, where like you really want love, but then you push it away. Like, please come closer. Oh, now you're too close. Go away. Kind of push-pull dynamic.
Yeah.
So that has become popularized on social media in recent years, learning about what your attachment style is. But like to your point earlier, what I was going to say is that a lot of people have then learned about their patterns and then latched onto this label of like, oh, well, I'm anxiously attached. So like you need to give me more attention in order for me to feel secure. Or I'm avoidant. So you need to give me space in order for me to feel okay. And while it's really great to identify our emotional needs and patterns, the goal is actually to heal the root cause of those attachment wounds and build towards more secure attachment rather than just stay in the label forever.
Yeah. So what is the work that you do to heal the wounds?
Great question.
Well, hold on. Let's back up a little bit. Yeah. What is your work in general first? And then maybe we'll get the healing. Lauren has very specific questions around number 2.
Around the anxious attachment. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I can understand why. Yeah. What do I do with this? Yeah. That's the work that I do. So essentially it's, we talked about awareness, like you become aware of this is my pattern. That's step 1. Then what? Like, what do I do with this? And the real change that occurs is when we learn to like take a holistic approach and look at how is this pattern showing up in my life, in my choices, in my self-talk, in my nervous system. And so the work that I do sort of blends a few different modalities. Somatic practice, where we're understanding what's going on in my body with my emotions, with my nervous system. Subconscious work, where we're actually getting to rewire beliefs that we formed as a result of those core wounds. And parts work, which is essentially it's kind of like, I liken it to inner child work. It's an exploration of the younger parts of us that are still living in that old story of the wounding, of the thing that happened, and then carry this burden of like, I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable, no one will stay, no one sticks around for me, like whatever the story is, we have to actually work with those young parts of us that are still living there and carrying that burden. So it becomes this dance between becoming more and more aware, more observant of our patterns, thoughts, feelings, being able to attune to what's going on in our nervous system so that we can regulate enough to feel a feeling and identify what's the need beneath it, and then meet that need internally and then communicate in a healthier way to our partner or whoever it is in our life that we're wanting to be closer to. So it's a multi-step process, but it works very well.
Yeah.
Can you do me a favor? Because we also people throw around inner child a lot. Mm-hmm. And it's actually one of those terms similar to somatic. I'll find a thing to have an issue with.
Yep.
It's a term that's abused. Yeah. Inner child is abused. When we say inner child, I know you gave us a brief definition just now, but like, what is when we say inner child, are we talking about like 10 and under? Is it beyond that? Can you give me a range here of what's going on?
Your timing is great because I just taught a class on this morning and last night. So I'm cool. Very immersed in this conversation right now. But before I answer, I would love to hear like what comes to mind for you when you hear inner child and also like what's the problem that you have with it?
Ooh.
Okay.
Oh, Megan's doing some work already.
So Lauren and I are in the process of like kind of building out our own kind of workshops to go through like a healing modality that we're in the middle of developing. And we will be sure to be trauma informed once we go to market with it. But when it comes to inner child stuff, so here's what I have an issue with. I feel like there's an element of inner child work that same methodology is appropriate to do with things that might have happened to you last week. So, and that's kind of why I'm always like, why has it got to be child? Why can't it just be like inner? I don't have a different definition for it. I suppose people throw the word shadow work around a lot, but same thing. It's like, well, what does that even mean? Like, I'm not young. No, hold on. I'm young and attractive, but I mean, I'm not Carl Jung. And, like not everyone has like the intimate knowledge of that definition. So for me, when I think of inner child work, I always think about what I do when I've done that kind of work is I go back, revisit a period of time where I experienced some kind of trauma, and I make sure that I'm there for myself. Mm-hmm. Now being the like adult I needed for that moment. Mm-hmm. But sometimes like, maybe I got really mad at that guy that was wearing a purple shirt last week. And I want to be like, you know what, Frank, like you really don't need to be mad at that guy. It's just purple. It's just a color. That's some people's favorite color. It's okay. And I like mentally and like spiritually want to put a hand on my shoulder and be like, you're going to be fine. You can walk away from this kind of thing. So I guess the issue that I have with the term inner child is just the child part.
Yeah. Yep. You're honestly really spot on there. So you might find a lot more resonance with this concept I mentioned called parts work. The most well-known modality of parts work is IFS or internal family systems. Yeah. I practice a similar but different modality that focuses more on the somatic experience of our inner parts. And essentially, it's the acknowledgement that we do all have these inner parts of our experience. Some of them are younger, like an inner child, because you're an adult, let's say like 30-year-old adult today, but you were also once a 5-year-old and a 10-year-old and a 15-year-old. And those versions of you don't go anywhere just because you're not that age in that sized body anymore. They're still part of your psyche. And they have their own belief systems and patterns and emotions and reactions to, like you said, what may have happened in the past. And you can go back in time and put a hand on that version of you and be like, you're good. I'm here with you now. Like you do have a safe, loving adult who's capable of taking care of you. And to your point, you could have had an experience last week where frustration or anger came out and you're like, ooh, that version of me needs a little love. And maybe if you sat with that version longer and you unpacked it, you might find that big emotional, angry, frustrated reaction actually was a younger part, but maybe it wasn't. And today you can still support a week ago you. It doesn't matter who is what age. What really matters is that you're learning to create that internal system of curiosity and compassion and support rather than like judging yourself for having the reaction.
Well, that's cool.
So good job.
It's so interesting because I've been talking a lot more about inner child stuff in the last like year or so. And that's like where this conversation I feel like has come up because I'm like, oh, it's that like little version of you that maybe didn't have control, like understanding or control over things, and was traumatized in some way. And now as an adult, I can go, okay, like I understand this better on your behalf, little Lauren, and like, I've done a lot of healing in like, let me write her a letter, or, tell her all the things that like she needed to hear when she was 4 or 6 or 12 or whatever it was.
Absolutely.
But the term, I feel, because Frank, I've been like, oh, I want to do like an inner child workshop or something like that. And Frank will be like, but how old, what's the limit?
The logical brain. Yeah. Got it.
Yes. He'll be like, are they 18? Is your inner child, does it go till they're 18 or 15 or what?
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing, like language does matter. Like we were talking about before, some language can make people feel ostracized and not included in a conversation. I talk about this a lot with self-love. Like some people hear that term and they're like, that's not for me. Self-love, like, no, I can't even conceptualize what that would be like. That's too whatever. They don't believe that's a conversation for them. But maybe they can wrap their head around a conversation of self-respect, of caring for their body, of treating themselves in a way that is dignified and kind. So language really does matter. And if somebody's having a hard time with the term inner child, like maybe we instead call it younger self, and it's more inclusive because your younger self also includes like 21, 22-year-old me when I was going through that very hard time. That version of me needed a loving adult. Like she was struggling. Yeah. I can go back and support her if something's coming up from that period of time in my life. And maybe she wasn't a child, but it doesn't mean she wasn't still in need of some support.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I do think it's important to acknowledge that like so many of our like foundational traumas do occur when you're like sub like 8, you know what I mean? So I totally like get why it's called inner child, but like that same method still works like forever. Like I think it's really powerful. So I'm always like, why are we calling it? Why are we calling it that? Like there should be a larger umbrella. But I like the idea of parts work being like a terminology.
Yeah, maybe that resonates better with you.
And thank you for coming to our Frank and Lauren's semantics conversations today.
No problem. I think it's important because I think then it welcomes some people in who might have not otherwise felt included in a healing conversation. And they're like, oh, okay, I could see why that would be beneficial.
Yeah.
I have to say, I mean, before I feel like this podcast, I would hear inner child and I'd be like, I'm not quite sure if I understand. No one gave me the definition of that. And now I feel like too dumb to ask.
Well, which
is part of what this podcast has been, where we ask all the things. We're like, I don't know what that is. So
yeah. And nobody ever did tell us. And also, we have our own judgments. Like when I first heard about inner child work, I had a really defensive part of me that was like, that's dumb. I'm not a kid anymore. And like, I'm a grown up. I need to just like not, like, why would I go back in time? The past is the past. Let's focus on what I can do here and now. Like, I just didn't think it was relevant. I didn't want to complain about things that felt like they were out of my control because they already happened. And it felt silly to imagine like going and hugging a 5-year-old version of me. Truly, I like really judged that idea. And that was a part of me that I had to really show some care and support to before I could even imagine loving the 5-year-old version of myself.
Right.
That's so true. I've told people like, you know, close friends or whoever will listen that like talk to your young self or write them a letter or whatever. And saying it sometimes it really does feel silly if someone hasn't like considered doing that. Cause then it's like, I know it's going to feel a little weird, but like,
but maybe it'll work.
But yeah, like, I don't know. There's something really powerful about that.
Well, part of it, especially because of the angle that we're coming from, one of my issues with it in the first place was that, you know, we come from like more of like a woo spiritual angle, right? So it's, I was like, hold on, am I actually attempting to establish contact through time and space with an old version of myself? Or is this just a mental practice of me addressing something that I experienced? And the truth is, from my perspective, it doesn't matter.
No.
And like it works, which is kind of spooky if you think about it.
Yeah.
Totally. It's like, yeah, maybe both. Like, we don't need to make this a podcast on like quantum mechanics, but like, what is time, you know?
Yeah.
Let's get into that. No, have you heard of anyone? I've seen like stories of people, just while we're on the topic, remembering being like 10 and either seeing like a shadow of someone while they're having a hard time. They have like a memory of there's a shadow of someone who shows up like in a moment where they need them, or they need an adult or something like that. And then the adult version of them does a meditation and goes back and like visits that 10-year-old version of them. So they were actually seeing themselves somehow. Have you heard any of the, I probably didn't explain it very well, but
no, I've totally heard crazy stories like that where somebody like there's just like a weird unexplainable thing. And then, as an adult, you're like, whoa, maybe that was actually me.
Yeah. Like, oh, this woman came and visited me one night and said like, everything's going to be okay. And then like I, as an adult, went back and told myself everything's going to be okay. Yeah. Like, that's so wild. It feels like a movie, but it happens. So many, I've seen enough stories of it that I'm like, oh, maybe people have done that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's That's cool really stuff. Cool. I'm a big fan of doing past self, future self type practices.
Yeah.
And that's like part of it too, right? Like if you can do this, if you can like potentially heal yourself regardless of the concept of time, like you could possibly do it with other lives and lifetimes of yourself too, which is something that I have been working on, which is probably a topic for another episode. But
does any of your practice, or like, what are your thoughts on when people do like specific somatic exercises that are like, oh, if you like rub this area of your shoulder, you're going to start yawning and then you're going to maybe start crying, or like if you put your hips in this certain way, those things.
Yep.
You're like, those are somatic exercises.
Okay. So I'm going to go where I think you're asking.
Your guess is as good as any of ours.
So I'll start with this. Are you familiar with the term fascia?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So our fascia.
Our audience might not be, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
For anybody who doesn't know, fascia is connective tissue. And our connective tissue is this sort of like thin, wet, like almost like cotton candy type web of tissue that runs throughout your entire body. It wraps around every muscle, every organ, and your nervous system. It's everywhere. It's this one sort of like continuous piece of fabric under your skin in your body. And fascia is really, really important, not just for like physical health, but it plays a huge, huge role in emotional health. So most people here can probably relate to having experienced like physical pain of some sort, maybe even chronic aches and pains, like your neck always hurts, or you've got a bad hip, or, something from an old injury. Like if you injure yourself, you hurt your knee at some point in time, your body develops compensatory patterns, like you shift your weight more to the other side to favor your better knee, and then the muscles maybe become a little bit imbalanced or under or overdeveloped, and your fascia sort of contracts and hardens and calcifies in certain parts of the body as a result of physical injuries. It becomes a little bit denser, less oxygen, less blood flow in that area, and so we get stiff, we get kind of achy. The same thing is true though with unprocessed emotional injury. So when we don't let an emotion fully flow through the body and express emotion how we're naturally designed to, the body sort of braces, and these patterns of contraction and density are created in our fascia, and can sort of harden, get stickier over time, and become what we then know as like my tense neck, my tight shoulders, my jaw that always clicks kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
This seems like something everyone should know about.
Yeah.
I like geek out about fascia. So I'm trained in a modality of nervous system regulation that centers fascia and fascial release. Because so much of our dysregulation is just intrinsically related to these patterns of tension in our body from unprocessed emotion. And yeah, people aren't talking about it enough. I'm seeing it a lot more on social media these days, but that might just be the, my algorithm because I'm super interested in this stuff. But I'm trying to talk about it more so that more people learn because it's so important. And I think the easiest way to understand, like you were sort of alluding to, like maybe I press on this certain part of my body. Maybe you've had a massage before where somebody's massaging a certain part of your body and you all of a sudden feel something, like you feel heat build up in that area. You feel an emotion rise up. You feel sadness or agitation. Or maybe you're doing a yoga class and you're holding a hip stretch and you feel like you want to cry all of a sudden. And you're like, where did that come from?
I did one when I was pregnant and I was like, why do I feel like I want to just sob? And because I don't do
because you were pregnant, but also
yes, very true. But
sorry,
yeah, I think I left that class like, I like wept. Like,
yeah, it happens all the time. I teach therapeutic and somatic yoga when I lead retreats, and I teach it with some of my clients. And I'm not like trying to make them cry, but inevitably everybody cries or everybody has like at some point a big emotional release.
That the like signature, like you did a good job of someone's crying.
Absolutely.
It feels like, good.
Yes. Like I picked the perfect song and the right pose, the right flow, and like it just got them right where they needed to be.
She's like, we got one.
Come on, give me those tears. Cry more. Give me those tears right now.
It's such a win.
Such a win.
Honestly, though, I do love bringing people back into their emotions, even if it feels like a little scary or overwhelming for them. Like eventually, the more you feel, the better you feel, and it's hard, but it's also so cathartic.
Pressing on this, like so it has to do with like releasing something that's in your fascia. That's like why that happens because you've been storing stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So imagine it like this. Like, let's say something happened to you. Again, this could be last year or in childhood. Let's say you were in a little car accident, like a fender bender. And it was enough of an impact that like, that's scary. Somebody hit your back bumper, but not so much that it was like massively traumatic. You didn't get injured. Nothing like happened. But still, that's a stressor to your nervous system. Like that's going to put us into sympathetic activation, fight or flight mode. But our rational mind looks around and goes, oh, I'm fine. Everything's okay. I need to like exchange insurance information with this person and like handle the logistics of this. And I'm not hurt, so it's okay. But there was a stress response in the body. There was a buildup of this stress energy that we then like pushed down because we were like, I've got to handle shit and not deal with this. And so that impulse, that somatic impulse, it doesn't just go away because we don't address it. It sort of gets suppressed and the body will usually, it kind of gets held somewhere in a pattern of contraction or bracing or gripping around that stress response. So you've got this sort of like stress response and the fascia tightened around it. Then a year later, 10 years later, you go and do this yoga class or whatever practice you're doing, and you create, first of all, you're already in enough of a safe environment. You're not in danger. So your nervous system senses safety. And then you create enough movement, enough mobility around that tightened place that stress response has the chance to now move through the tissues again. And it can move as like activation, like shaking. It can move as emotional energy, like tears. Like it wants to get out of the body. That's all. It wants to get released.
On occasion, we talk to somebody who doesn't know they just sent me on a journey.
I feel like I've given you a lot of homework already.
Oh, man, I'm a very tense person, but like I'm always like, I'm doing internal work. Like I'm healing. But I have a lot of body tension, and I just attribute it to like, I should probably drink more water, which I should. But now I'm like, oh no. Yeah. And this is why the Grinch's heart was 3 sizes too small.
It's just too much tension and contraction around it.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay.
No, that, like specifically when you said like a small fender bender, I just thinking about that, like I remember driving to work one day. I was like 18 and got into it. I like rear-ended someone on my way to work, putting on lip gloss and the like
Always
traffic slowed. And exactly what you said, I had to deal with like, okay, exchange stuff, and I had to get to work. So like that thing of like, that was super stressful. My front bumper was completely, I said it was like frowning. It had completely like come undone, and I had to like drive to work, continue my day. And like, just thinking about how I just pushed that completely down, but it was super stressful. I like wanted to cry about it, but I couldn't because it was like, no, you gotta hold it together. It was just all those little things that you go, I can't process that right now. I can't think about that right now. I gotta go do this other thing. I don't have time for, even 10 minutes of tears or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that happens all the time in relationships. Yeah. Like a disagreement happens and we're like, oh, I don't want to feel that. I'm going to push that down. And sometimes it happens consciously where we say like, I don't have time for this. I have to go to work. But sometimes it's an unconscious bias of, I don't want to feel that because I don't have the bandwidth to feel something so uncomfortable or painful right now. So let's not look at that. And all that gets accumulated over time. It's not like it's a physiological impulse. If you have to go to the bathroom in the middle of a meeting, you hold it till the end because you want to make it through the meeting, but then you don't just like not have to go to the bathroom because you held it. Like you've still got to go.
Right. No, that'll reabsorb into your body.
Exactly.
Wait, can I ask you like what is this because I'm not like again, like I said, I need a copy of Grey's Anatomy, but is this like a newer thing that people are really realizing like how much fascia affects?
Yes and no. Again, I think that there's a lot of like, if we look way, way back, I think there's a lot of ancient indigenous wisdom that like had an inherent understanding of how our connective tissue impacts us. Like the study of, like I said before, traditional Chinese medicine and the meridian system, that is sort of inherently connected to our fascia. Like that's fascial medicine, basically. That's
really funny because I recently did a whole Reiki training thing, and I was kind of pouring myself over the meridian stuff. I'm like, wait, this seems... Yeah. Because it was just kind of thrown out. I was like, oh, here, and check this out. And I was like, check this out. This seems like this could be like a decade of study. What do you mean, check this out?
Oh, yeah. It's a lifetime of study.
Yeah.
Like the meridian lines are fascia lines, essentially. And like qigong, which is their movement practice, like their sort of meditative, medicinal movement practice in the realm of TCM, that inherently helps loosen our tension and works with our fascia and helps us move emotion through the body and move energetic blockages. So like, no, it's not new in that regard. And in the realm of like Western study and science and research, like it seems like this huge new discovery in the last 30, 40 years and there are incredible pioneers in the Western world in the last 30 or 40 years doing this research, which is amazing. But I think it's so important to say that it's not new.
Right. Yeah. No, it's so fun. One little discovery comes out and then everyone's like, oh, everything else is old now. We find a microorganism and now it's like meridian system. Yeah, right. It was these all along. It's so crazy how many times we find ourselves like rediscovering old wisdoms and under new contexts. Yeah. And man, what the hell, dude?
I know. We love colonizing stuff, don't we? We're like, I discovered this. It's mine, not yours. Yeah. Like, I'm the hero here.
So, I mean, according to the meridian system, I know that like, if we are kind of working off of that as a model, that will say that like, that system speaks to almost every organ in your body. Are we saying the same thing about fascia? Like tension can affect anything?
100%. Because like I said before, like I wasn't kidding when I said it's one continuous piece of fabric. Like it wraps around every muscle, every organ, every nerve in your whole body. without stopping. So if you imagine like a big piece of fabric, if I pull on this end, something's going to happen to this end. So if you pull on your foot, something happens up here. It's all connected.
Mm-hmm. So it is why the Grinch's heart was 3 sizes too small.
And also like attachment wounding, because his parents gave him away and he wasn't raised, but like
it's all there.
It's all there.
He has anxious,
disorganized for sure.
Disorganized.
He wants love. He wants love so bad, but he pushes it away because he's scared of getting hurt again.
Yeah.
The Grinch.
The poor ass Grinch,
guy.
Do some inner child work, brother.
That's so wild, man. I am gonna go on a fascia journey now. It's funny because I'd heard about it, but I'm just like, sure, it's some other thing that like we could point to. This seems like a big deal.
Yeah, big deal.
Can in your realm, does cortisol come up a lot? Because I feel like that's been a big buzzword lately, or is that not related? When we talk about like nervous system stuff, everyone's like, oh, it's raising your cortisol levels and like you need to get the cortisol down.
Another sort of misunderstood, some definitely relevant, but not how we all think. I'm not, a functional medicine provider or doctor. I don't read labs. I don't work with labs. And when we are in a sympathetic stress response, our body produces more of the stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, but we actually need them. Like we sort of vilify these hormones like they're a bad thing, but we need our body to produce cortisol. It's what wakes us up in the morning. If we don't have any cortisol, we are not going to wake up and get up and going. If we don't have our body's ability to produce cortisol and adrenaline, we won't be able to sense danger when we need to sense danger and get away from it. So cortisol production isn't bad. And yes, if you are in a constant state of dysregulation and you have an imbalance, either too much production or too little of any hormone in the body, cortisol included, like that's going to create some downstream effects, but it's not sort of this end all be all, like, again, miracle fix that I think people are looking for.
I have a basic but also large question.
No such thing as basic, too basic.
Because this is like, could potentially be overwhelming for someone who's like, oh my God, I got a lot of shit to do. I got a lot of work to do. What's like one thing that you might recommend someone to start with? Like, you do this.
Yeah, I don't ever want to overwhelm people to the point where they're like not interested then in exploring any of this further. And I think that at the basis of what we're talking about here is just learning to be more present in your body more of the time and more curious about what it's telling you.
Yeah.
And in order to do that, for most people, the easiest, most basic place to start, and the place you actually need to start, is just developing a better relationship sensing your body's natural cues and rhythms for your basic bodily needs. Meaning, do you eat when you're hungry, or do you try to like power through the day? Do you override your fullness cues and overeat and emotional eat? Do you listen to when you have to go to the bathroom, or do you try to hold it to be more productive? Do you go to bed when you're tired, or do you scroll for 3 more hours on social media? Like, can you listen to those basic bodily cues your body is sending you and practice meeting those first? And then from there, it's like maybe you then start to notice when your body's telling you that a person isn't right for you, like this relationship doesn't feel right, something about this doesn't feel good, doesn't feel safe. We start to get more clues and messages from our body when we're first just meeting the bodily basics. And that helps us practice expanding our capacity to stay with more emotion when it shows up. Because if I feel safer being in my physical body, then when I feel sad or when I feel angry, I'm more attuned to that. I'm less scared and less likely to numb it or run from it. And that's a beautiful place to start.
That's really great. Yeah.
We throw the term interoception around over here. And or like in other terms, like we always talk about using your body as a map to help you like sort through the things that you might not be addressing. It's actually really, let me pose this as a question. Do you find it curious as to how many people have learned to try and fight those sensations and just ignore them and survive through them as opposed to work alongside them and work with them?
Absolutely. I find it so fascinating that I am writing a book about it as we speak. Yeah, I mean, we're just sort of conditioned to perceive our body as an inconvenience. Like we talked about earlier, we do not think that it's wise at all. We think that it's inconvenient. Like we want to look a certain way, and the fact that I'm hungry means that I'm not going to look how I want to look, or like I should, have more energy than I do, and I'm like so annoyed that my body doesn't have more energy. Like we just like think everything about our physical bodies is an inconvenience because of the very like productivity forward capitalistic society that we live in, appearance oriented society.
You're speaking my language. I want to give you a hug right now.
Perfect, because I could go on and on and on. But I guess to answer your question, yes, I agree.
Why does everybody want to be a Viking? Like they want to wake up in the morning, drink a big cup of cortisol so they can wake up and get going.
Do their cold plunge, do their breath work, do their 27-step morning routine.
Oh my gosh. It's so like at some point, it's just like working against yourself and your body's natural rhythms. And definitely no one's saying, oh yeah, part of all those people that are doing that stuff, they're like treating their entire lives like drill sergeants. There's no step in there of like, and take a second to assess your emotions.
Right. Exactly.
Why did that guy with the purple shirt piss you off?
Exactly. Let's dig deeper into that.
What's going on with purple shirt?
It sounds like he's really bothering you.
I love purple. Okay. I tell my daughter.
So maybe you were jealous of his purple shirt.
You know, that's what it was. I needed to take that shirt off and give it to me.
Yeah.
That's what it was. But so you're writing a book. Tell us about the book.
Okay, this one I can't say much about at this stage, but I really, like everything we've said here, like really want to help people have a better understanding of the wisdom and cues that our bodies and emotions hold, rather than constantly like battling against them. And I just think that, we as a society are a little too focused on looking for the quick fixes and like the overriding, rather than listening to our natural rhythms.
This is kind of I feel this is such a delicate subject to ask about, but like, because I don't want to shame anybody, but I feel like we're kind of too fast to prescribe pills and stuff for things, but also no doubt, like if you need that, and that's fine. Like, I don't want to shame, but I'm also recognizing like that, whenever I hear somebody talk about, I went to my doctor, I was feeling this way and they gave me this and now I don't, or I really don't want to, but it's still there a little bit, but it's enough for me to ignore. And that's the thing that I'm like, dude, but that might've been something that might've been like a trigger to help you, like that you're listening to your body and you might live a more fulfilling life instead of taking the pill. And I'm speaking from someone who was on Prozac for a long time. Like I needed it to function, but function in a space that I shouldn't have been in.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, exactly. Like there are plenty of valid use cases for medications, and they can be life-saving for so many people. And we currently live in a medical system that does not take a holistic whole person approach to healing. It takes a sort of Band-Aid approach to symptoms and never gets to like root cause medicine and addressing like, maybe there's a deeper imbalance that we need to look at, or maybe you're trying to operate in an environment that's just not right for you. But I don't think we're ever going to see that change here in America, at least. Other places have a different approach, but
that's true. I have heard of like I have a Russian friend. And she was like, "Oh yeah," I was like, I went to the doctor, and they're like, "Oh, you're all right." She was like, "I said I'm depressed," and he's like, "Well, what's going on in your life?" He's like, "No," she said, "I'm here for the pill." He's like, "No, let's talk about what's going on."
Yeah,
and like, we're the only place that operates like, "Oh, what do you need? Okay, here you go. Get out of here. Next." It's such a drag, but that also like is such a mirror of how we try to operate in Viking mode. And it's not great. A little bit of Viking's okay. Not a lot of
like we need to be able to access that energy when we need it. And like for some people, more of that energy is going to be more authentic in their body and their physiology. And some people it's less. Also the conversation about like men and women's nervous system having very different needs. Like there's just nuance to it. We shouldn't be trying to prescribe one size fits all.
Right. Oh.
I think that the even just the thing you said about like the basic listening to your body's basic needs is so we really ignore. We treat our bodies like trash cans sometimes, or like, I did the Avon walk, and I remember talking to Emily, my sister-in-law, about our bodies, and she's like, we just keep referring to it as it. It's really funny. And I've thought about that. That was like 15 years ago. And I still think of how funny that is, that when we talk about our bodies, we say it.
Yeah. But then if you try to get somebody to refer to their body as like she or him, they'll lose their minds.
Oh,
they're like absolutely
it doesn't
not.
work.
No.
Yeah. You have to say it, but it is really funny. Like we treat it as like
an object.
Separate. Yeah. Like, I'm going to be thinking about my basic, how often I pay attention to my basic needs.
Good.
Because I do like, if you're like, I just need to write one more email. I gotta pee, or like, I'm so hungry, but like, whatever, you just,
we override all the time, and just, changing that even a little bit, you'll maybe become a little bit more attuned and feel more at home in your body.
Such an important conversation to
Good
have.
stuff.
Megan.
Do me a favor, give everybody your plugs, tell everybody where to find you.
Yeah,
absolutely. The best places to be in the loop about all of my programs, retreats, offerings, books, etc., are my website and my Instagram, which are both my full name, megansherer.com, and at Megan Sherer on Instagram. I do also have a TikTok and a YouTube where I share lots of things, Substack where I write essays. I have a book that's out already called Choose Yourself, and that's mostly about attachment wounds and relationship patterns. And I host programs, retreats, and all the things. So if you're curious, those are the places you can find out more.
Amazing.
I think we're going to dig around there a little bit.
Yeah, I think so.
When you're not looking.
Oh, please do. No, let me know what questions you have. I'd be happy to send you all the things. I have a podcast as well, so it's a great place to deep dive, binge all my content.
And what's your podcast called? We'll say it at the same time.
And what's your podcast?
It's called Well Then.
Well Then?
Yeah, Well Then.
Okay. Thank you so much. That was like, it's just so much amazing information. And I feel like the another journey has begun. I see it in Frank's eyes.
Yeah.
I see all the wheels turning. I love it.
I'm just sitting here being like, oh, that hurts. And that hurts a little bit. And, oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Stored emotions.
Do I need to go get a tissue box and then figure this out now? I think I do.
Take it one sensation at a time.
Yeah.
Open up your hips.
Open up those hips. Megan, thank you so much for spending time with us today.
Much.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so fun.
Thank you for listening. Visit clairvoyaging.com for merchandise or to access free resources to help you on your spiritual journey. Subscribe to our Patreon for more content or join for free to chat with us. Clairvoyaging is a fiscally sponsored project of Fractured Atlas, a 501c3 charity. Make a tax-deductible donation to support our mission to foster understanding, respect, and curiosity for diverse spiritual belief systems. Clairvoyaging is a production of Wayfeather Media.